right. All right. Thank you so much for staying with us. We are back. An interesting conversation, I tell you, are having here, but we put that aside as we shift gears into matters of education and looking at the state of higher learning in our country. I'm having this morning a panel of three, in case you're just joining us. I'm hosting this morning Honorable Nabina Bwera, the Member of Parliament for Lugari constituency, also sits as a member of the Education Committee of the National Assembly. We also have with us Janet Ouko, an education analyst, of course, an alumni of Moi University, and she was a former Secretary General of the Moi University Student Organization. We'll be looking at the crisis in Moi University in just this conversation that we're having, but we're also having Wilson Sosion, the former NAT Secretary General. We really appreciate your time, gentlemen and lady, once again. As we shift gears now, I'll begin with you, Sosion. Just today is all about looking at the state of higher education. Let's start there in your analysis, just generally, looking at the state of higher education based on the developments in the recent times, including the lecturer strike. I mean, what would you describe as our state?
I think I can summarize the growth of university education and trace it back to Kibaki administration. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the free education was a robust program that was developed and conceived by President Kibaki. But then affordable secondary and accessible university was the next big thing. And that is why it was legislated that every county should have a university at that time. But the growth of universities during Jubilee administration was a bit pumpy, and many universities ran into financial challenges because of shift of policy changes and unstructured policies within that period that should have allowed universities to grow as envisioned by the Kibaki administration. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we've ended up with universities collapsing. Egerton is one of them, I'm an alumni of Egerton. I'm an alumni of Moi as well. And it's an eyesore to see public universities collapsing out of reasons that are not explained. And what came out during Kenya Kwanza formulation of education charter and policy, which is now being implemented, and believably is going to extricate universities, is that the universities were grossly underfunded, but the aspect of management was not addressed. It's what is coming out now, that even the management of universities has been very wanting, and that many of them are now on the radar of EACC. So really, we did not focus in strengthening universities in terms of funding mm-hmm. and in terms of management, so that it could deliver on their mission of delivering quality teaching, quality research and community development. That's what we ought to see in our universities. But they've been reeling out of, through serious financial challenges and debts accumulating up to 66 billion, and statutory deductions from staffs and lecturers remain unremitted, and therefore circles of lecturers collapsing and very many of the programs. And that is what has necessitated industrial actions. It is the union power within the universities that really has opened the eyes of all of us and has pushed the governments in the past and present to near addressing the real issues affecting the universities. Because we've just come from over 3-week nationwide strike by lecturers, and that has been unlocked by availing 4.3 billion shillings to finance their CBA. But then there are huge issues. You can't imagine that a university is so indebted to an extent that it cannot remit statutory deductions of NHIF, statutory deductions of NSSF, the loans and all other third-party remittances.
Right.
And this government sought to resolve these issues gradually over the next 4 years through a new funding model. The funding model...
Which we will talk about.
The funding model, for example, the university funding generally.
Which we will talk about. Just allow me also just to get the opening remarks for the other panelists. I'd like to hear how this funding strategy of the higher education under the Kenya Kwanza administration is a solution to what we are facing.
But even away from the funding strategy, I think the issue of corruption is really has to be dealt with.
All right, thank you.
So that the funding that is intended
goes to the right,
give value to the students.
All right, it's part of what you're going to be discussing. But Mheshimiwa Nabwera, coming to you, you sit in a committee that interacts with those who are concerned, those who should be actually taking action to address some of the issues in the universities and higher education in general, asking the tough questions. Do you get answers as to what is crippling the institutions of higher learning in our country?
Thank you. First, I want to say, I don't know whether it's a coincidence that the three of us share one bond, that at one point or another were in a collapsing university when it was premier, then called Moi University. And Janet and I even share extra. We were both in the leadership of the student union and then. Now, the issue about whether we are getting the answers or not is neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. For me, the answers would be reflected in the action. And just to pick it from where Sosion has left, in my own understanding, it is political interference in policy formulation that has caused problems in the education sector, not only higher learning. What do I mean? There was a law that was changed in Parliament, and you know, the changing of law in Parliament is a political process that allowed Public Service Commission to get into involvement of doing two things: choosing council and choosing university administration, the vice chancellor and the deputies. That is where the rain started beating us. We ended up with political mandarins appointed to shepherd a very, very important institution. So Sion will tell you here, he has been on education matters longer than me in terms of policy and all that. There are people who are pretending universities, even if they are professors, they could have been very good at teaching or doing research, but they have zero governance strategy. They have no vision for the institution. Egerton and Moi University should never have had financial problems because of the resources available to them in terms of land. Moi University with 3,000 acres. You can't, I mean, whichever way you look at it, it is inexcusable that they would not be able to pay. Actually, that land alone is able to generate money to pay salary of Moi University if it's running properly. Look at Egerton. I was telling my colleagues in the committee that, Sosion, if Professor Musangi was to resurrect today and you took him to Egerton at the gate, he will say, let me go back to the grave. Let me go back to the grave. This is not the institution I left. Egerton, before even it became a university, I remember it attracted the highest amount of money in research in East and Central Africa. And that's what transitioned it into a university. Look at it this way. Professor McKay, in his document that birthed Moi University, he looked at a science and technology university. 3 weeks ago, I was in my university. They don't even have a science block. And I said, the foundation left by Professor Irina, then 20 years ago, it has not left the foundation. But we have built other things there. It has not left the foundation. So the problem in university education is basically governance. Please.
Right. Okay.
Even if the government, and I've said this, even us giving Moi University 4.3 billion without sorting out the governance issues and having a visionary leader, ask yourself a question. Why would Maseno not be having a problem? Why is Musti not having a problem? Why is Kabianga, a younger university, looking more sound financially than their mother? You know, I've picked on those universities because their mother, actually Kabianga is a grandchild, not even, is a grandchild of Moi. Maseno is the firstborn of Moi. Must is the second-born of Moi. Now, you go to Eldoret University, you think that's Moi University now. It was a campus.
A college.
Yes, it was a college, constituent college of Moi University. You ask yourself a question. Moi University went and bought land in Kitale. For what? What is it doing in that land? Moi University came and bought land here in Nairobi. For what? What is? And it cannot be able to utilize the land it has. It is now in private hands.
All right, Mheshimiwa Nabwera, well said. I want us to listen to, something that the Moi University Alumni Association said yesterday and represented here, of course, this morning is by Janet Ouko. Just let's listen in, because what is coming out from this conversation is the issue of management, leave alone funding as a crisis in universities. The management question is also at play. Now, the Alumni Association is calling for the resignation or dismissal of the current Vice-Chancellor. Let's listen into what was said yesterday, and then we'll weigh in on whether this is the solution that will save the glory of Moi University.
The problems might be deeper. What has he done about them?
To improve.
To improve, about the problem. And then also, you cannot keep telling us that a university has been humiliated in the manner that it has, and you're still staying put. In this country, where is the culture of resigning? Ukishindwa na vitu, you resign and you let someone else more competent than you to come and handle the situation. No taxpayers' money should be thrown to Moi University until the management has been overhauled. Why should we throw taxpayers' money into a hole that we cannot get inside? That we want to get inside that hole and we are told no, they are gatekeepers to that hole. Then run the university using the village money. Don't run the university using national taxpayers' money. Mediocrity has been entertained in Moi University for a very long time. Decisions are being processed through some not known processes. For example, we are saying no to the politicization of Moi University. We have students from South Africa in Moi University. We have students from all over the world in Moi University. This is not a village university. If Moi University is a village university, please admit from the village. But you will not admit nationally and run the institution like it is a village university.
All right, and Janet Ouko is with us here in the studio this morning. Janet, I'll give you a chance to just put that in context. What first of all inspired the Alumni Association to come out and weigh in on the crisis in Moi University, and the dismissal of the VC is part of your demands that you want. I mean, just tell us a bit more about why this is necessary, and what's probably the best way to get the university out of what it's currently going through.
Thank you, Safina. And it's a very good coincidence this morning, because everybody in this room is an alumni of Moi University, including Safin herself.
Is it?
What?
So you go there.
So you can
declare your interest.
You can.
So the selection
so
was
that the
deliberate.
nation can see
it was
what
a
kind of a
beautiful
university we are discussing here. And the position we read yesterday is on behalf of the Alumni Association of Moi University, because we have declared that our silence, I think we've given politicians a lot of time, and they probably think that they're the brightest in the country, and they are not. I'm yet to see any institution managed by politicians that is firm. Just look at the IEBC. You will understand what kind of management politicians can offer. Because IEBC is basically about politics and about politicians, and they always think that they have the most interest in IEBC. Look at it now. That is the kind of management that we have witnessed in Moi University. I know people are saying that we have problems in universities. There are issues in universities, but then there is Moi University. That is very unique. Mm-hmm. This is a university where we have seen leaders threatening to sit in council, right here, and nothing was done about it. And they said, there's a statement to that effect, that we are going to infiltrate management and we are going to frustrate every decision. It has happened. They have entered the decision making and they frustrated.
When
now
you
the
say
university leaders from the region, from the region, and they're politicians. They are not technocrats or something. They are politicians. It is unfortunate. As alumni, we are not going to sit down and watch politicians frustrating this institution. And things are very clear.
So
for example...
So the problem is the problem the VC then, or the politicians?
From where I'm sitting, and I like being very objective, as demanding that the cabinet secretary acts on some matters is a bit way above him. We know how politics work in this country. And he has, even if the cabinet secretary could have what amount of goodwill, he will process the same decisions in parliament. Who will he find in parliament? And we are saying we have let politics get in where politicians have gotten way far too long with so many things. And we are saying, Moi University, let's deal with Moi University, for example. And we are asking, if you're managing an institution like Moi University and have an EACC report here that was given to Moi University in 2022, and the management decided that they're not implementing it, why is that VC not sacked as we speak today? Why is he still in office? And the entire management, why are they still in office? And these are the kinds of things you're seeing Sosion saying that after Kenyans complain, after Kenyans probably we lose one or two, because nowadays with abductions, you might not even be sure. By the time you're talking too much, you're not even sure of your tomorrow. Will the VC be removed after the alumni go to the streets, after one or two get lost and disappear? Is it that time that we're expecting people to work? As we are speaking, Safin, there are first years who were admitted 2 months ago. They have not seen the inside of class. And their parents are asking, can you imagine what teenagers, what these children are doing in the university? The whole day for 2 months, no class. We have people who should graduate. We have, Moi University is holding people's lives at ransom. And when people want to ask decisions, they are told, no, they are gatekeepers. And the alumni is very clear about this, because we are saying we really love our alma mater. And that is why we are coming out to say we really love the institution. But can we have a conversation? The only conversation that is going on is about bailing out the university. Bailing out the university. Why do we want to put money, taxpayers' money, in a hole that we cannot get accountability for? We are asking, what has happened, for example, to this EACC report? Mm-hmm. What are its content? Can it be made public? Can we know that this is the omission? And can we know people that have occasioned the university losses, what is going to happen to them? And we are saying no. It is not just resigning. It is not just you going. Can we see people paying us back? Safin, it is not fair that people will supervise these kinds of losses. Because right now as we speak, especially the 6th year students, they are going through counseling. They're traumatized. Who takes responsibility for this kind of thing? And when we talk about Moi University, and Mheshimiwa Nabera has captured it very well, that it is a well-resourced university. But see where it is now. Who takes responsibility for this kind of humiliation of such an institution? Who supervises? Who is supervising universities? Parents are saying that we are not going, and I'm happy that we are coming to discuss the new funding model. Because when we are saying, let parents contribute more money to the universities, to which universities? How do universities account to parents, for example? How do they account to students, for example? Do you know how painful it is to talk about missing marks? What is the accountability around lecturing and lecturers to students? Because people are getting raw deals.
All right, well said, Janet. Yeah. Mishma, you had something to add?
Yes. You know, on a matter like this, which is of grave concern to all of us, we need to be fair to each other. I don't think Janet is fair the political class on this, Moi University. On one aspect, it is actually us who flagged it out. I remember I took to the floor of the House, and there were a number of us, and we said, hey, we are burying our head in the sand, and there's a problem eating Moi University. Just the way last week, I said, forget about Moi University. Nairobi is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Fact.
There's a bigger problem?
Oh, where now the chairman of the council is the vice chancellor, presumptive. Again, it's the political class saying, please, all we are saying, which Janet needs to be saying, is that taxpayers' money is used to pay institutions that is supposed to run this. One of them is called Council for University Education. Another one is a whole host of human beings in the Ministry of Education, Department of Higher Education, from the minister, the PS, the directors, all sorts of human beings whose public money keeps them in those offices. Number three, there are institutions that are supposed to ensure governance structures in the country are working, including the spy master. He should be feeding the president and telling the president the next storm in this country is education. Now, all these institutions have failed higher education.
Right.
So yet,
and just a minute, let me finish.
Yet the oversight has not failed. Yet those institutions have failed. Yet the oversight has not failed.
I was just a minute. Who first came up and said you don't need the governance of Moi University? The education committee under my chairman 3 weeks ago were in Moi University, and we told Sanga, it's called Sanga, Vice Chancellor, please, it is in the interest of this institution, you just say, I've tried my best, na imekata. We have made our report very clear, including the floor of the House, that and you know, oversight does not suck, eh? We have said Moi University's problem is governance.
All right, you've said
that's what oversight has said.
Moi University's problem is not.
Right, both of you've said your point. I'd also like to hear Session from where you sit. Who do you think dropped the ball?
No, I think.
Who do you think dropped the ball?
From this point, it is not a moment of passing the buck, praising and blaming one another. It's time to identify where the real problem lies.
Good point.
It's governance.
Yeah, when you talk of Egerton University, it was a premium agricultural university in Eastern Central Africa.
Actual Africa.
Then why did it go down to the extent that everything was rotten, to the extent that the management was thinking of selling part of the university farm to finance its operation? Moi University the other day, it's not long ago, under the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mide, was leading in research and growth and programs. It was one of the most robust universities, even within this town. That is how I undertook my master's here in town and graduated here. It was a robust university. Just the other day, within a short time, it is down. We are getting funny stories about the University of Nairobi, where there's a new office called Chief Operating Officer.
Non-existent, the statute.
Non-existent in law. And then where does it place the role of the
Vice Chancellor?
Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration? I would say generally, even as government designs a framework of financing universities, the management of universities and corruption in universities must be addressed in its right word.
Fact.
It is corruption within universities. Whoever deals with the movement of money and procurements within the universities is not the political leaders.
No.
The political leaders are in parliament. Those who deal are with the management. And if you are a sane adult of sound mind who has been given a job as a vice chancellor or a chancellor or whatever management position, you cannot be micromanaged by any outsider whatsoever. So we must learn to accept our responsibilities.
If you look at the process of installing the management of these institutions, is it rid of politics? Can you categorically say that politicians are really like off it completely?
No, we cannot blame it 100%. Once you are appointed, why can't you do the right thing? If, for example, we are talking about the Auditor General's report, which was placed before the university in 2020.
Yes.
It was placed before a vice chancellor, whom I don't think was new to the university.
No.
Was new to the processes of running the university. And that does not mean you have right to violate the provisions of an existing law. You don't have that as an individual, so you carry the cross. The question is, Safina Cheng, are you qualified? If today you are appointed the Vice Chancellor Oginga University, Safina Cheng,
in the future.
and if today, yes, assuming you have those qualifications, don't blame anybody beyond yourself. It is you. You carry your own cross. So, and I think that indicts who really is supposed to deal with the quality delivery of universities.
Right.
Commission for University Education. What is the Commission for University Education doing in terms of protection of delivery of quality teaching and operations in the universities?
It is banded.
Have these universities been subjected to standard frameworks and guidelines by the Commission for University Education? Then the other question, the ministry, the line ministry, why do we have a whole State Department for higher education? What is it doing? What are the deliverables? What have they been doing from day to day? So anybody involved with higher education, they should begin searching themselves. And I think this is where the president should begin. It is not enough to think and to consider funding universities without correcting the inherent rot of corruption and mismanagement. We should call it as is. And I think as panelists, we should all agree, if it is corruption, it's corruption.
It's corruption and mismanagement.
And that corruption does not come from political leaders. That corruption does not come from the hosting community. It is resident in individuals and the processes that we have developed. If indeed the pieces of legislation that we have developed, that a university senate wakes up one day and somebody is brought from nowhere, they have no control over, I think that is tragic. The previous arrangement of identifying vice chancellors was left to the councils and the senate, and they would take responsibility. In these circumstances, what would be the story of the Moi University Council? What would be the story of Moi University Senate? We've left these entities to rob the rights of students. Some of the suffering these students are going through are created by the same management within those universities.
Right,
and that needs to be dealt with. And for me, Savin, some of these vice chancellors should be in jail today, not just leaving universities. If they've qualified to be criminals who have messed up the universities by grossly violating clear laws, like procurement laws, then you should be in jail.
All right.
The EACC should bite.
All right.
We should not just hear stories of EACC, and at the end of it, we don't have a watertight case to prosecute them.
All right. Well
the
said,
same corrupt individuals are going scot-free.
We will be looking at what EACC is saying about what's going on in universities. Just shortly next, we will be hearing that soundbite from Eric Ngumbi. But Janet, I want to hear your thoughts, though. I asked Sosion this question. Is the process of installing even the vice-chancellors rid of politics? I want to understand where these concerns about politics infiltrating the management of universities is coming from.
let us be truthful. And let us not engage in conversations for academic purposes. We have watched in this country a clip that was ran by Citizen Television. Leaders of a certain region threatening the university. They installed a vice-chancellor. True or false? That is true. Everybody in this country saw that.
Who has brought it down?
How then can we sit here and imagine that political interference is not what has brought Moi University to its knees? That was a very unfortunate clip, and it should never, ever repeat itself. And that is why we are saying there are challenges in each and every other university, but Moi University's challenges are insane. They are not common. They are not normal. And I was in Moi University. Probably they were there earlier when the university was what it is. I was there in 2002, and I was a student leader, and I was suspended for 5 years. I visited Moi University. The state of Moi University is as it were 2002, when I was serving there as the Secretary General of the Union. And by the time we were serving in Moi University, the toilets were flooding. I'm just telling you some of the insane things that are happening in Moi University. A totally mismanaged facility. Everything broken down, chairs, everything. You don't know, you don't want to go there. And so, when I saw that clip by the politicians mobilizing villagers to come to the institution and say that this is our institution, it is going to be managed by so-and-so, whether you like it or not. And they threatened that we are going to infiltrate council meetings, and we are going to make sure and we will supervise all the decisions. Then it is unfortunate. Then we sit here and pretend that there is any professional managing those universities. It's a lie. It is a lie. And that is why we are saying politicians must be called out, and they must be told, can you let Moi University to thrive? Moi University is a global institution. There are people who have, it's a global institution. We were there and we can attest. But we cannot now say that because a university is in a certain region, that certain decisions have to go in a particular way. Therefore, take responsibility. When decisions go in that particular way, why are we not seeing the same leaders coming out and taking responsibility for where they have led the university? We are now discussing putting taxpayers' money in something that you ring-fenced, you called your own, and drove to the thickets. It is not acceptable.
Okay, Savini, this is the reality. Please. Let's not look at Moi University as an isolated case. An upward of 50% of the 37 public universities are limping. And I've told you today, and please hold me responsible for what I'm saying, that University of Nairobi, if a drastic action
it's not taken now,
which includes, in my view, sending away the whole council, is taken, is the next one like Moi. There's no politician who came and ring-fenced the University of Nairobi, like what happened in Moi. So all we are saying is that the governance institutions in public universities are wanting and must be dealt with as such. I've asked you a simple question and told you, why would be Maseno be stable and not the University of Nairobi? Why would it be a small university here, across here, called Chuka? Here. By the way, there are things happening in this country you don't know. Can you walk today, after this program, Safin, please walk to something called Technical University of Kenya. Please walk there. It's another one. People don't want to say, and I'm saying, please, if you are in this institution, in a position of management, and you are seeing it go down, and you are keeping quiet, then you deserve to be in hell. Please understand this. Moi University required 14,000. It has capacity for 14,000 first years. Have you asked yourself why only 5,000 were admitted?
No one wants to go there.
Yes. Those are the things you need to ask yourself questions. And Sosion, this is where you and I must agree with the Janet here. Why do you think Kisii University had 14,000 admission and Moi University 5,000? Which one has the highest capacity? Which one has the structures that can deliver? We must speak to each other with honesty if we want to help save this country. Please, and I want to say this on this one, don't even all of us think we are overburdening the head of state. If we have been given a responsibility to do, can we do it? I mean, he can't be doing housing. We want him to manage Moi University. We want him to manage comprehensive education. Please, let's call out the people who are supposed to be called out. The Moi University management and the council should have left like yesterday. Egerton University management and the council should have left like yesterday. The things that are happening in the University of Nairobi are criminal, to the best of my knowledge. They are criminal.
All right, which one?
I was so appalled that the council writes a letter to a director. So what is the role of the vice chancellor? What would be the role of the vice chancellor? I mean, my good people, in the spirit of this constitution, the values, principles and values as enshrined here, one of them is good governance. And that one, just reflect on your own. Even me as Nabina Bwera, when I'm pretending over things in Lugari, I should reflect and ask myself, is this in the good interest, is in the common good of the public? And that's the problem here.
All right. I want us to look at something because of, this also stood out as one of the key challenges that we were talking about when we were beginning this conversation. Let's listen into what the EACC spokesperson said yesterday. Like you say, Mheshimiwa Nabwera, Moi University is not in isolation. The problem cuts across. So let's listen into what he said yesterday about an ongoing probe in 18 universities across the country that are now being probed on various issues. Key among them is mismanagement of funds.
Corruption and unethical conduct have found their way into our universities, and this is compromising and threatening the quality and the standards of higher education in the country. At the moment, EACC is conducting investigations into various forms of corruption, theft of public funds, academic fraud, and unethical conduct in 18 public universities. In Moi University, the EACC is conducting investigations into alleged theft and malpractices involving 2.2 billion Kenya shillings. So far, 59 witnesses have written statements, including the Vice Chancellor, who wrote his statement last week. But now come to Siaya, where we are today. This is, let me call it a new scandal in Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology. In a similar version to what happened in Moi University, university officials allegedly colluded with consultants and contractors to defraud Jaramogi University of money amounting to 2.6 billion Kenya shillings, and that is in the implementation of 6 capital projects in the university. Notably, these payments have already been done despite the projects still being incomplete.
integrity has become very, very scarce in our country. I can tell you where we work as ESCC, we have seen big scandals that we follow of people who are very respectable. When you see them, when you know them, some files that come to us, you just get amazed. You will say, you mean even so and so?
Mheshimiwa Sosion, what are your thoughts? You were very passionately vocal about the issue of corruption and how it's a thorn in the flesh of universities.
Yes, indeed, because I agree with Bishop Oginde. Integrity is very scarce. You assign somebody an office to run an office, they engage in corruption activities. And therefore that boils down to those given responsibility. And I agree with Nabwera. This is a matter that we even don't need to take it to the doorstep of the president. Yeah. We cannot take, once the president has appointed a minister and has appointed PSS and the vice chancellors have been appointed, they should do their work. If they engage in crimes, they should go to jail. That is the whole thing. We are talking about now the KCSE students who have just sat exams are 1 million. And we want a significant transition to the universities, maybe raise it to 40%. Now, where are these students going to proceed to if we are already killing their next level of destination? That is number one. Number two, we are talking about the mission of universities being that of delivering quality teaching, quality research, and community development. How do we achieve this when your universities are actually underwrote? I wonder whether the even research departments still exist, whether they work, whether they're operational. In fact, when you are seeing lecturers in the street, then who is conducting research work and who is incubating that research work so that it works? We got it wrong over time in the massification of universities. At what stage did we dilute Egerton from being a premier agricultural university?
Good man.
How? At what stage?
Good man.
At what stage did we dilute Jomo Kenyatta University for being a university of agriculture, science, and technology? It should have remained purely with that mission and with restrained involvement in other fields. At what stage did we dilute Moi University from being the second university of science and technology until we lost its mission? And Moi University, let us be fair, it is one university that has led to incubation of many other universities in Kenya. And I think it was overburdened with the business of creating other universities. And could be, in that process, it has devoted some of its resources to establishing campuses, buying land, and doing other things at the expense of growing itself, even to the extent of buying Rivertex, which was taken away also from Moi University. And
bad decisions.
But it was taken away from Moi University after investing billions and transferred to another department in government. Let us also look at some of the bad decisions that have been made in government and the burden that have been given to Moi University. At what stage, and then University of Nairobi, you can hear what is happening. It has been a premier university of all courses and competitive in the world. What is the ranking of our universities all over the world in terms of global competitiveness and ranking of universities? That we really need to revisit. But then when you talk of corruption, corruption has taken these universities down the drain. That's a fact for sure. And the report from ESCC is extremely 18 factual.
Universities, that's
and it's not just one, it's a culture.
Yeah.
And it's a clap of the vice chancellors. And at some point you were saying, yes, government should not fully listen alone to the views of the vice chancellors on everything. The views of the lecturers also count through their unions. The views of the students also count through their union, and also generally the views of the public. And I think at this stage, with this morass and this caring development at the universities, because when you check Moi University, I was told the other day, I'm not sure, that students in medicine, they've stayed up to 8 years.
9 years.
And they're not 9 years, and they're not sure when they're graduating.
Yes.
This is a travesty on the human rights of those particular students. We should call it as it is.
As it is. You need to hear what some of them say about the torment that they are going through, with regards to just that prolonged
and I think now the buck stops now at the door of the Minister of Education, Julius Oigamba. He should take drastic administrative action across all these universities as a first-stop measure. Well said,
Susion. Mheshimiwa Nabuera, I also want to hear your thoughts on this corruption culture, the culture of stealing from what parents are working hard to get, and even what the government is investing in this institutions.
The audit reports are clear. And I want to thank our colleagues in the Public Investments Committee, Education and Governance, and PAC. What lacks in this country is taking action after Parliament has adopted reports. Every report every year has pointed, audit report have pointed out the malaise, the misgovernance, the maladministration in universities. But you wake up the following day, the same people are there. And that is why we must think beyond lamenting. And I've said, from where I sit, we must reconstitute the Commission for University Education, because it is not helping this country at all. Even in quality delivery of curriculum in the university, they don't supervise. There are things, if I told you here, you will be in shock as to whether our children are getting quality education. The issue about Moi University, you don't need to you don't need a consultant, because this country, the next day you will hear a consultant has been appointed. You don't need a consultant. You just need to send those guys packing if they have refused to live on their own, because we were there as Committee of Education and told them they should the best consideration they can make to that university to live on their own. Let me tell you, even in a marriage, when it is not working, one partner leaves. One partner leaves. So this one of the administration of Moi University and the university is not working, because the university cannot leave. The only person who can leave is the administration. There's something I needed to mention here. Went to Moi University. It has 600 casuals. They call them contract labor for many years. But if you asked them to tell you what these people do, they were at pain. They were at pain to tell us what these people do. So I said, but if you are in administration and you are not sure what these people do, and you are coming to government and telling government, we need money to pay these people, then we should take your money first. Take your money, pay these people. Because you don't know what they do.
So you're saying there's also overstaffing?
Those are the issues at Moi University. The land, cancelled the lease agreement which has placed the land to private developers, private individuals. This land, when I was in Moi University, and Okoye will tell you, we used to harvest a lot of wheat. The university the time of harvesting wheat, you would wonder. I mean, many people had come from areas where they had not seen wheat. They would go there to look at harvesters harvesting. Moi University used to have credible grade animals for milk. I went there the other day. The animals are emaciated with ticks. If you ask, give us the record of the milk, they start looking at each other.
So things have changed.
Thirdly, which is critical for me, all of us, whether public, whether parliament, whether judiciary, everybody should unite against these people. Education is the equalizer. Anybody who tries to interfere with education, all of us must unite and call them out and get them out from their positions and get people who can deliver.
Who can deliver.
I want to have a comment on corruption, and we cannot pretend that corruption is only in universities. It's the whole country. It's our culture, honestly. And I think
it is not our culture.
It is what it is. Universities have a few issues, but if we see how we are proceeding as a country, and I want to say the tone at the top. The president is looking so tolerant to some of these issues. He's looking like, there is no emergency. And tone at the top really is what would give somebody like the Vice Chancellor, Moi University, to stay put. The tone. There is nowhere absolutely I can be taken. In any case, so-and-so has not gone anywhere. In any case, we have had corruption issues. EACC can talk, can address media. The tone at the top. The president and this government is so tolerant until corruption is looking like a song like we can easily excuse. You see the way we are saying here, universities, corruption is what has affected universities. And when you say corruption is what has affected universities, the next thing is corruption is everywhere. So sort of it's becoming a way of us allowing things to go down. And I think the president should be very worried because it's serious indictment that really the decision, I don't want to agree with Sosion that there is anything the Cabinet Secretary for Education can do on this particular matter. We know how things are done in this country. It is not rocket science. He should have dissolved the council by yesterday, but he cannot do it. He will not do it this morning. He will not do it tomorrow. Why? Because he is not the one in charge, and that is a fact. There is somebody else somewhere who is in charge, and until he says do this, and we have evidence. Everybody was saying finance bill is bad until that one person says, do this. So he has taught us that the buck stops with him. So in this particular matter, on these matters of the universities, Mr. President, what are you saying? What are you saying about Moi University, which is even in your backyard? What are you saying about it?
What he said during the State of the Nation address is that the problem is administrative.
Saying and doing are two.
That the problems in Moi University is administrative.
Saying and doing, okay, he has said that. So what? Children continue languishing in Moi University. They are not in class today. You should see the frustration with the medical students, saying and doing. So if the problem is administrative, what has he done about that administrative problem? I think Kenyans are more interested in action than diagnosis.
This issue of the medical students of Moi University just goes beyond them being graduated out of school. Serious questions are being asked to Sosion as to whether then they have been prepared adequately. And this is an issue of Commission for University Education. And they are keeping, have you ever heard them talk on these issues? Why are they quiet? Why hasn't the commission come up and told us, you people, we must call out these people of the commission. Why haven't they come up and told us, Moi University, this is our position? The medical students, why are they taking 9 years and there is a commission of university education? Why are we paying them money?
Mm-hmm. All right, I really want to wind up this conversation. I'll give you a final round of your remarks as we close, yeah? Let me begin with you, Sosion, as you also...
I'll begin from where, and I'll summarize from where Nazi has left.
Yeah.
What type of graduates then do we expect from such universities?
Yeah.
Half-baked? Are they competitive enough to fit in the global market? That Vision 2030 talks of Kenya producing the most globally competitive human resource. So really, if our human resource processing system, like our education and universities, are collapsing, then we are destroying the country. And urgent remedial steps needs to be undertaken right now by those vested with responsibilities within the law to do so. There's no shortcut about it. If it is EACC, if it is the Auditor General, if it is Parliament, if it is the executive, and we know it is the minister who is in charge, who does that from day to day, that actually needs to be done. That's number one. Number two, I want to disagree with Janet on saying that, oh, the president seems to be tolerating these corruption activities. No, and not at all. If you are in Kenya Kwanza administration, and if you are occupying any position within government, because government is government, whether at counties or national, and is about corruption, I think it is. And the president made it very clear that if you want to engage in corruption, your place is jail, or you leave the country, or you go to heaven. And look at it now, even in the sugar sector. Within 1 year, we are producing double the tonnage that is required in the country. We now have sugar surpluses for the first time. We are not importing sugar. We are potential to export. Because of that statement of the president of threatening the cartels who are importing sugar to kill the local manufacturers. And I think it is time the president cracks the whip further in all other sectors. And those who are promoting and perpetuating corruption should all go to jail. They should be criminalized. It is time as a country. Corruption should not be our culture. It should be criminalized by everyone and everybody at all levels. And it should not just be a responsibility of the president.
Yeah.
The president has so much to do. The rest of us as citizens, we have responsibility to conduct ourselves responsibly. So let's look forth for a time that the universities are going to bounce back and be responsible for training our children.
All right, Janet?
Well, I think 4 things here, that it is not fair to admit students nationally and insist on running a university like a village outfit. Moi University has to give the learners it receives credibility and even sort of some assurances that really this is a good institution. And we're saying the current management of Moi University is inept, and it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that they are corrupt, according to the reports that we are reading from the EACC and ongoing forensic audits. And so they do not deserve to be there for an extra day, save for our culture of just tolerating so much corruption. And we are asking the president really to crack the whip. And also, Moi University should now consider graduating the cohorts that are ready. It is not fair. It is not fair on them. And I think moving forward, I've seen indications of them wanting to go to court to sue an institution that is wasting their time and threatening, their livelihoods. And of course, parents also feel this particular concern. And finally, we have said that no more funding should be put to Moi University before the management is overhauled.
All right.
Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Nabwera.
Yes, I say the following. To the leadership of Moi University, Egerton University, Technical University of Kenya, and University of Nairobi, that Chapter 6 of our Constitution, under leadership and integrity, 1A3 says that authority assigned to an officer, state officer, must bring honor to the nation and dignity to the office. When I'm asking the chairmen of those councils, the vice chancellors and the deputy, do they think they are bringing honor to their institution, to the country, and to all of us? Secondly, I want to remind that education is a right. And because education is a right, they by ruining institution of education, they are infringing on the rights of Kenyans. And thirdly, I want to appeal to all of us, and I mean all of us, that this is the time we need to have a conversation I'm getting a bit worried that whereas the institutions we have, some have less students, we are in a rush to start other universities. The question should be, the Kenyan economy, how many public universities can the Kenyan economy accommodate? You know, Safini may not be aware of this. Some employers out here would rather employ a university graduate from Catholic University of Kenya than a public university.
That is where we are getting, or we've gotten there already?
We are already there. I know of institutions, if you come from Strathmore, you start at an advantage. I know. But why is this happening? This is happening because the Council of University Education has not done its job in the public university.
All right. I want us to sample feedback from our viewers as we close this down. And we had invited your thoughts as well as we look at the state of higher education. A very hot subject is now the crisis in Moi University. And Gabi Wakasiaka, you are saying the government has realized that education is an equalizer. They have decided to humiliate the poor comrades so that we cannot share the same table or occupy their position. Right. Babu Michael K.E., the Kenya Kwanza government has made us to be so suspicious that we don't take anything for granted. It is what is happening in public universities deliberate, so that a proposal to privatize them is proposed, and then the same proposes by them. Right. We have Engineer Lazaro saying, let the truth be told. Allowing partisan politics in our higher education institutions now killing Moi University. Politicians should not be allowed to micromanage university governance by installing their cronies. We have Athanu Mavuti one. The glory of public university education is quickly fading if the government doesn't intervene and put together strict management measures and put in place competent individuals to run the universities. All right, Dixon Olwatch, you're saying Janet is right. The politicians who have failed our university. It is the politicians who have failed our universities. Where was Sosion and Nabi when Mandago chased Professor Airo? When things are wrong, what role do MPs play after EACC and the Auditor General report? All right, Nixon Dugire, I'm really wondering why leaders are complicating the current education system, yet in their times they studied smoothly and seamlessly through an education system that worked well for them. This is hurting the students and the economy. We have one more. They are saying the public universities in Kenya are in exponential decline due to tribalism and corruption. The Moi University story is unfortunate. 7 years ago, the politicians wanted to install their own because the institution is in their land. Really? Meteocracy. That's what he's saying. Sam Masika, the challenges facing Moi University was set in motion by the local leadership who thought their own tribesmen needed to be in charge. Tribalism only begets mediocrity and collapse of serious institutions. Let's stop meddling in working institutions. That's what you're saying. Thank you for your views and your feedback. We really appreciate you creating time for this conversation this morning, a conversation that we just put a comma to. There is still a lot that we need to dissect when it comes to coming up with a working higher education in our country. I've been having this sit down with Mheshimiwa Nabina Bwera, Member of Parliament, Lugari constituency, sitting at the Education Committee of the National Assembly. Also with us was Janet Ouko, an education analyst, and Wilson Sosion, former NAT Secretary General. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for creating time for us this morning. All right, so thank you also. And we will be just taking a short break. We are crossing over to the social hour in just a bit. Don't go too far. We'll be discussing matters parenting, especially when it comes to co-parenting. If you have separated or divorced, what are the complexities? How do you respect boundaries? What should you do that is in the interest of the child? Those are some of the questions that we will be looking into on the social hour. To stay for that and much more.